College bullies attack a black cleaner, unaware that she is a brutal XF fighter. The sound of breaking bones echoed through the empty corridor of Westridge University. It was Tyler Collins' fist crashing into the wall, inches from the cleaner's face. Leticia Santos didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't show any fear. The three students surrounding her laughed, not realizing that this woman with calloused hands and a gray uniform had already broken more jaws than they could imagine. What had begun as another day of humiliation for a simple employee was about to turn into a lesson that none of them would ever forget. Because underneath that cleaning lady's uniform lurked a brutal champion who vowed never to fight again. Until today. "Hey, broom lady, I think you forgot to clean up in here," sneered Tyler, purposely knocking over his iced coffee on the freshly waxed floor. At 45, Leticia was used to this kind of treatment from the rich and spoiled Westridge students. Her strong black hands gripped the mop handle as she kept her face impassive, her eyes fixed on the brown liquid spreading across the floor. "Are you deaf? I'm talking to you," Tyler teased, stepping closer. Marcus and Aiden, his faithful followers, formed a semicircle around her. "They say she can't even speak properly." "Right, Auntie." Leticia remained silent, a silence that hid years of bloody fights in clandestine arenas. A silence that masked the discipline forged in brutal me's. A silence that was about to be broken. "Maybe she needs some motivation," Marcus suggested, pushing the cleaning trolley away. "Are you going to clean up? Or would you prefer us to talk to the principal about your incompetence?" Leticia's eyes finally rose to meet theirs. There was no fear there, just a calculated calm that for a second made Tyler hesitate. There was something different about this woman, something that didn't match her worn-out uniform or her rough, hard-working hands. "3 against an older woman," she finally said in a surprisingly firm and articulate voice. "Is that what you call courage? At Westridge?" The three of them laughed, but Tyler's laughter faltered when he noticed her posture, perfectly balanced, feet slightly apart, as if she were ready for something. "Look, the cleaner can talk," mocked Aiden, "and she thinks she can lecture us." "Respect costs nothing," replied Leticia, moving to pick up the mop. "I'm just doing my job." Tyler blocked her path, his expression hardening. "Do you know your place here? It's downstairs. Cleaning up other people's messes. That's all you're good for." A flash of memory went through Leticia's mind. The bright lights of a ring, the metallic taste of blood, the roar of the crowd shouting her name. The Panther. The Panther. She blinked, pushing the memories away. "All work has value," she said simply. "Not yours," Tyler cut in, purposely spilling more coffee on the floor. "Clean it up now and do it right this time." Just then, the door to the corridor opened. Professor Harris from the Physical Education Department stopped abruptly, observing the scene. His eyes narrowed as he saw the 3 students surrounding the cleaner. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, approaching. "None, Professor," Tyler answered quickly. "The cleaner is just having trouble doing her job." Professor Harris looked at Leticia, then at the stain on the floor, and then back at the boys. "Interesting. It looks more like you're having trouble keeping the coffee in the cups." As the students walked away, Harris stared at Leticia for a moment too long, as if something in her had triggered a distant memory. She quickly lowered her eyes, but not before a spark of recognition appeared on the teacher's face. "See you later, Auntie," Tyler whispered as he passed her. "We haven't finished our conversation yet." When everyone had gone, Leticia mopped the floor with precise, efficient movements. Her face was calm, but her mind was racing. How much longer could she keep her past buried? How long before someone found out who she really was or who she had been? If you're enjoying this story about a woman who hides much more than meets the eye, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow stories of overcoming like this one. The question now is, what will happen when Tyler and his friends decide to take their teasing too far? And what does Professor Harris really know about the mysterious cleaner at Westridge University? The dim light in the small apartment illuminated Leticia's calloused hands as she applied ointment to the bruises that no one could see. On the peeling wall, A yellowed photo told a different story. A younger woman in boxing gloves raising a champion's belt as the crowd went wild. The Panther, that's what they called her. A life she had left behind after a promise made over the unconscious body of her last opponent. "Never again," she whispered to herself, touching the scar on her wrist. That promise now seemed as fragile as the glass that protected her former glory. The next morning, the corridors of Westridge were still empty when a voice surprised her. "Those scars on your knuckles, they're not from housework." Letitia turned to find Professor Harris watching her intensely. Instinctively, she hid her hands in the pockets of her gray uniform. "Santos," he continued. "You're Letitia the Panther Santos, aren't you? I saw you fight in Sao Paulo 10 years ago. That fight against Martinez. Nobody believed you'd get up after that blow." "That was in another life," Letitia replied dryly. "Now I'm just the cleaner." Harris shook his head. "Why would someone with your talent be cleaning floors?" Before she could answer, arrogant voices echoed down the corridor. Tyler and his friends approached, laughing. "Hello, Professor," greeted Tyler with false respect. "I see you're fraternizing with the staff." Harris narrowed his eyes. "Collins, shouldn't you be in Professor Chen's class?" "We're going," he replied nonchalantly. "We just needed to pick up some books." When Harris reluctantly walked away, Tyler blocked Letitia's path. "Hey, Auntie, there's a party in the North Dorm tonight. Several guys spilled drinks on the floor." He leaned over, his breath hot on her face. "Maybe you should stop by on your knees." Marcus and Aiden laughed, pushing the cleaning trolley. Products fell out, scattering on the floor. "Tonight, after your shift," Tyler whispered. "Men's locker room. I want to show you how dirty this place can get." The laughter echoed as they walked away, leaving Letitia with the product strewn about. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the effort to contain the force pulsing through her numb muscles. That afternoon, while she was cleaning the empty aisles, a female voice interrupted her. "They're not going to stop, you know." It was Diana Roberts, the keeper of the academic records, a middle-aged black woman with piercing eyes behind thick-framed glasses. "I've seen how those kids treat the staff," Diana continued, "especially Tyler Collins. Dad's one of the biggest donors, so he thinks he can do whatever he wants." Letitia continued working in silence. "I've been here for 20 years, Diana. I've seen employees come and go, all bearing the same marks of humiliation." She hesitated before adding, "I've seen you watching the fight, Jim. Do you practice?" For a moment, Letitia considered lying, but something in Diana's sincerity disarmed her. "I did, a long time ago. Well, if you want to use the space after hours, I can arrange it. I have the keys, and no one goes there after 9. Hours later, alone in the dark gym, Letitia faced the punching bags. With hesitant movements at first, she began to unleash blows. 1, 2, 3. The pace increased, her body remembering what her mind was trying to forget. Asterisk, the crowd shouting his name, the metallic taste of blood, the almost divine feeling of power. And then, the accident, the guilt, the promise. A final, devastating punch caused the bag to shake violently. The next morning, Letitia found her equipment cupboard vandalized. Red spray had covered the door with racist insults and obscene drawings. Her personal photos, including her champion's belt, had been stolen from her bag and nailed to the wall with derogatory comments. "Looks like the little ant has an interesting past," sneered Tyler, emerging with his friends. "A failed wrestler who ended up cleaning toilets. What an inspiring story." Letitia felt something break inside her. It wasn't just about her now. It was about her past, her identity, everything she had sacrificed. "Do you want to know why I stopped fighting?" she asked, her voice taking on a dangerous tone that made Tyler's smile falter. "Because I almost killed a man. I broke his jaw in 3 places. He never fought again." The corridor fell silent. Tyler tried to keep his smile,
but his eyes betrayed his nervousness. "Tonight, after your swimming practice," Letitia said calmly, "let's see how long you can stare at me without your audience." She turned her back and walked away, leaving the three boys paralyzed. For the first time, Tyler felt genuine fear. What Tyler didn't know was that while he was threatening Letitia, Professor Harris was watching from afar, his cell phone discreetly recording the scene. And while Diana took statements from other employees harassed by the trio, Letitia returned to the empty gym, her hands bandaged in front of the punching bag. With each blow, memories. With each impact, certainty. 10 years ago, she had vowed never to fight again, a promise made in a moment of guilt and horror. But some promises need to be broken so that other, more important ones can be kept. And as the night drew in, only one question hung in the air. What would happen when Tyler Collins, with his money and arrogance, finally confronted what was hiding behind the cleaner's uniform? What would be left when the Panther finally showed his claws? The Westridge University swimming pool reflected blue lights on the tiled walls as Tyler Collins emerged from the water, running his hands through his wet hair. The echo of the coach's last whistle still rang through the empty room. There was something different in the air, an almost palpable tension that made the hairs on his arms stand on end. "Hey, Collins," Marcus called out from the edge of the pool. "I think our fun is waiting." Tyler followed his friend's gaze and saw a silhouette standing near the entrance to the changing room. It was no longer the cleaner in the gray uniform and stooped posture. Lita Santos stood erect, wearing sweatpants and a simple t-shirt, her loose curly hair framing a face that showed no fear or submission, only an unsettling calm. "Haha, you really showed up," Tyler laughed, getting out of the pool. "I thought you'd be hiding in the bathroom crying." Letitia stood motionless as the three of them approached, dripping water all over the ceramic floor. Aiden closed the pool door, turning the key with a mischievous grin. "Do you know why we're here?"
asked Tyler, already a few meters away from her. "Because people like you need to understand their place." A dense silence filled the space between them. "What is my place, Tyler?" Letitia's voice sounded firm without trembling. "Downstairs," he replied with contempt, stepping closer, cleaning up the mess that people like me leave behind. It was at that moment that Marcus, eager to impress Tyler, suddenly advanced against Letitia. His outstretched hand to push her met only air. With a fluid movement that seemed to defy gravity, Letitia sidestepped and in a precise gesture grabbed Marcus' wrist, twisting it at an impossible angle. "Ah!" The scream that echoed through the pool was sharp and primitive. Marcus fell to his knees, his face contorted in pain. What Tyler Collins didn't realize was that his story with Leticia the Panther Santos was far from over. Because while he was being taken away, his father approached Leticia again with a surprising proposal that would completely transform the future of Westridge University and that of all the staff who had been suffering in silence for years. The question hanging in the air was, what could Lawrence Collins offer that would make up for years of humiliation? And why, after everything that had happened, would Leticia consider accepting? 3 weeks after the incident at the swimming pool, Westridge University looked unrecognizable. A large banner hanging from the main entrance announced, "Santo Self-Defense Training Center, opening today." Leticia's name, once whispered with disdain in the corridors, was now emblazoned in gold letters on the main building. Lawrence Collins, standing next to the podium set up for the ceremony, nervously adjusted his tie as he watched the crowd forming. Next to him, Rector Robertson was smiling at the cameras of the local broadcasters who had come to cover the story that went viral on social media. Humiliated cleaner turns out to be world champion and transforms university. Leticia emerged from the administration building, no longer in her gray uniform, but in a stylish sports outfit with the academy's new logo. Her hair, now loose and proud curls, framed a face that no longer showed submission, only restored dignity. "I never imagined I'd be back in a ring," she commented as she approached the microphone. "But this time, I'm not here to knock out opponents. I'm here to teach people how to defend themselves. not just physically, but from all forms of intimidation. In the front row, Diana Roberts and other employees applauded with emotion. In the background, away from the celebration, Tyler, Marcus, and Aiden watched the scene, their faces marked by the public shame that followed their exposure. Their Westridge uniforms had been replaced by ordinary clothes. They were no longer students at that institution. After a thorough analysis of the evidence, Lawrence Collins took the floor. The Collins Foundation not only funded this academy, but established a scholarship fund for staff and their children. In addition, we have implemented a zero-tolerance policy against any form of harassment or discrimination. What Lawrence didn't mention publicly was the conversation he had with Leticia that night at the pool when everyone had already left. "Why would a world champion be cleaning floors?" he had asked. "Because I promised never to fight again," Leticia replied. "After I almost killed a man in the ring, I vowed to use my skills only for defense, never to hurt. What if I could use those skills to teach others how to defend themselves?" Lawrence's proposal wasn't just an attempt to clear the family name. It was a genuine recognition of the value she could bring to the institution, not as an invisible cleaner, but as a respected mentor. Now, as the inauguration ribbon was cut, Tyler Collins watched the complete transformation of the world he once thought he controlled. His empire of intimidation had crumbled, replaced by a culture of respect he never understood. "I know you're wondering about the 3 alumni," Leticia continued into the microphone, surprising everyone. "Tyler, Marcus, and Aiden were invited here today, not for humiliation, but for learning." Murmurs ran through the crowd as Leticia gestured for the 3 to come closer. Reluctantly, they walked to the stage. "Part of their community sentence will include working here, learning about respect, discipline, and the consequences of their actions," she explained. "Because true strength never comes from intimidating others. It comes from lifting them up." Tyler, faced with a woman who had destroyed his world of privilege, felt something new rise up inside him. Genuine respect. It wasn't fear, it wasn't anger, it was admiration. "Miss Santos taught me something that no amount of money could buy," he said unexpectedly into the microphone, his voice breaking. "She could have destroyed me in that pool. She had every right to do so. But she chose to offer me something better, a chance to change." In the months that followed, the Santos Center became a symbol of transformation. Employees who used to work with their heads down now walked with confidence. Diana Roberts was promoted to Human Resources Director. Professor Harris expanded his program to include ethics and respect as compulsory subjects. And in one corner of the academy every afternoon, you could see Tyler Collins, learning not just self-defense techniques, but deeper lessons about humility and respect, under the watchful eye of a woman who had turned his greatest humiliation into his greatest strength. "Some people think that power means having others beneath you," Leticia commented to her students one afternoon. "But real power lies in lifting up those around you, in turning an adversary into an ally, in converting hatred into understanding." Leticia had broken her promise never to fight again, but only to fight a bigger battle. Not against an opponent in the ring, but against an entire system that allowed people to be diminished by their social position, color, or occupation. And that battle she won every day. At that university, a simple cleaning lady had taught the most valuable lesson those young people would ever learn in the classroom. That true strength is not in how many people you can knock down, but in how many you can lift up. If this story of overcoming and transformation has touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with someone who may need reminding that real power doesn't lie in titles or positions, but in the courage to remain true to your values, even when the world seems to conspire against you. After all, as Leticia showed us, sometimes the most powerful person in the room isn't the one you imagine. It can be the one you choose to ignore.